Hello, everyone. This is the editor, Spastic Dave. I'm here to tell everyone to drop a like on this video and subscribe to this channel for more things Death Row history. If we can achieve 500 subscribers, I will reveal my face. Now, on to the main content hosted by Mr. Toad.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Death Row History Channel. I am your host, Mr. Toad, and I am coming to you from the confines of the University of Central Oklahoma. Yes, that's right, folks. That's why I haven't been making videos as much as I want to, is because school first. But, coming to UCO, I met my editor, a friend of mine by the name of Dave. And here's to you, Dave. My last video was over botched executions via the electric chair. And with that, after that I started thinking, well, where can I go from here? Where can I go? Well, all roads lead west to the New Mexico Territory, 1901, April 26th, 1901 to be exact. The place, Union County, New Mexico. The man, Thomas Edward Ketchum, also known as Blackjack. And at this point, you're probably asking yourself, but Mr. Toad, why is this interesting? Well, it's interesting for a multitude of reasons. Number one, Blackjack Ketchum didn't have a body. He was sentenced to die for train robbery. Shows exactly how much power the railroads had at that point. Number two, he was severely overweight when he died, which normally would not be a problem. We see that today with a lot of individuals. But the problem is, Mr. Ketchum was convicted in 1899. He was executed in 1901. So the entire time he's sitting in the Union County Jail, and he's not going out for exercise like inmates today. He's not walking around the cell. He's not doing anything that we would assume inmates today are doing. No, he's sitting in a cell eating. The other thing that needs to be mentioned, that leads to why he's on my channel, is Mr. Ketchum was actually convicted of attempted train robbery. In the attempt, one of the people on the train blew his arm off from the elbow down with a shotgun. So now Mr. Ketchum is one-armed and eating all the time, doing nothing but eating. When he got convicted, they weighed him for execution, but they did not weigh him anywhere between the next 2 years. So when they executed him, they set the rope to what the weight was when they convicted him. They did not take into account the fact that he had done nothing but eat for the last 2 years. And he had packed on about 40 pounds. So they should have reweighed him and judged the rope accordingly. Well, when they took him up, the gallows and when they put him on the platform and put the rope around his neck, everything seemed right. But when they pulled the lever, Ketchum fell like a sack of potatoes. The problem was the rope was too long, and when Ketchum fell, the rope just went straight through the neck, and the head was in the rope, the body was on the ground. Gives new meaning to the words off with your head, doesn't it, folks? But yes, Mr. Ketchum was decapitated and would go down in history as one of the arguments against hanging. And that is story 1 for tonight. Story 2 comes from the great state of Wyoming 2 years later. November 20th, 1903, to be exact. Now, this gentleman is the polar opposite of Blackjack Ketchum. He was a scout, a cowboy, a soldier, a range detective, and a Pinkerton agent. I am talking, of course, about Thomas Horn, the man who was so liked by everybody that nobody wanted to pull the lever on him when he was sentenced to die, so they had to invent a whole new method of execution to execute him. That would be the Julian gallows, which I will try to explain a little bit on the science behind that, because it's actually kind of interesting. But Tom Horn was convicted for the death of Willie Nichols. Willie Nichols was the son of a cattle rancher who Tom Horn was sent to assassinate by the larger cattle barons in the area. This is during the time of the range wars. Tom Horn was an enforcer for the larger cattle barons. And yeah. So, now, I will say this. Tom Horn, if he was tried today, he would have got off on technicalities, because how they got his confession, even at the time, was seen as questionable at best. How did he do it, you may be asking? Well, there was a marshal in town who believed that Horn did it, rightfully so, but they couldn't prove it because they had no evidence linking Horn to the crime. So he goes to the bar where he knows Horn He goes to the bar that he knows Horn frequents, gets Horn drunk, and talking about the crime. Well, while he's talking about the crime, there is a stenographer on the other side of the wall with a stethoscope against his ear to the wall, listening to what Horn is saying and writing it down. Yes, folks, this was the confession that convicted Tom Horn. Do I agree with it? No. But Horn would go to trial and get convicted. Now, The Julian gallows looks like a normal gallows. The reason the Julian gallows were invented is nobody wanted to pull the trapdoor on Tom Horn. Nobody wanted to kill him. So James Julian was commissioned to design a new gallows, to be used for this. The device featured a trapdoor which was connected to a bucket of water. The weight of the water would conceivably create enough pressure to break the trapdoor, plunging the condemned to their death. So, the trapdoor is connected to a bucket of water. The water goes into the bucket. When the bucket gets heavy enough, the bucket falls, and the trapdoor falls with it. But, again, folks, this is a botched hanging. And as the crowd waited, the water filled the bucket slowly. And when the bucket fell, the trapdoor sprung and Tom Horn fell. But the noose around Tom Horn's neck did not snap his neck. Oh no. Tom Horn would hang there, would dangle for 17 minutes before they pronounced him dead. Interestingly enough, the last person was executed by the Julian gallows in Wyoming in 1936. So while Tom Horn was the first, they would continue to use those gallows until the 30s, which makes for a decent longevity on a very unique invention. But anyway, folks, it's the summertime. I will have more free time, so I plan on doing more videos. This has been Mr. Toad with the Death Row History Channel saying, I'm glad to be back, and I'm gone.